you've got 5% VAT, right? Now, we know that, and that was a very specific Brexit promise that that would be removed, and it hasn't. But more shocking is 25% of the electricity bill of everybody in this room goes to environmental and social obligations. What's that when it's at home?
Well, it's a mixture of things. It's subsidising wind and solar farms when they're generating electricity, and indeed when they're not generating electricity. And I think what a lot of people don't realise is that when the wind's not, or when the wind is blowing too strongly, we're actually paying to the owners of wind turbines to turn them off, because the national grid cannot cope with all the electricity that they're generating. And then, of course, when the wind doesn't blow, we're paying an enormous amount to owners of gas-powered stations, coal power stations, to fire them up to make up for the lack of power. And that's all an enormous cost. And we're also funding through our electricity bills insulation schemes. We're paying for something called the carbon levy, which is a tax on large industrial users, such as owners of gas and power plants. And it all adds up to 25% of your electricity.
I wonder, how many, I'd love to see a quick show of hands here. How many of you knew that 25% was added onto your electricity bill to pay for these things? How many knew about this? Hands up. And how many didn't know? You see, it's overwhelming, isn't it?
Yeah.
How have we... Ross, you've written about this, studied this for years. How have we got to a position where so much of our electricity bill is for this, and yet only a small percentage of this room even know it's true?
Well, because when we had the carbon, the Climate Change Act, well, originally passed in 2008, and then in 2019, it was the initial target was to reduce carbon emissions by 80% by 2050. And in 2019, in the dying days of Theresa May's government, when all eyes were on other things, Brexit and so on, she slipped through a little line and little bill increasing that target to net zero emissions by 2050. And do you know what? There was not even a vote in the House of Commons. This is one of the most far-reaching, consequential laws that has ever been passed in modern times in this country, and there was not even a vote in the House of Commons.
This is astonishing. Now, I mentioned at the start, before introducing you, that 20% of Dudley was thought to be in fuel poverty in 2019. How bad is it going to be for people when these bills arrive?
Well, it's going to be even worse, isn't it? I mean,
how much worse?
By the end of this year, it is quite possible that energy bills will have increased 3 times on what they were last year. And of course, there are some people who will say, you know, it shows we just need more renewables to, you know, it's our reliance on fossil fuels that has put us in trouble. But there's 2 things wrong with that argument. Firstly, is that as a result of this net zero commitment, we've run down our own gas and oil industries. The North Sea has been run down at the same time.
No investment, no new projects for 3 years.
Yes, yeah.